Hi, One Recaps is here. Today, I am going to quickly recap a 2024 Korean movie named Queen of Tears. This movie tells the story of a married couple struggling in a loveless marriage, caused by poor communication, leading to frequent misunderstandings and misinterpretations of each other's intentions. The scene opens with a young man named Baek Hyun-woo explaining his married life during an interview after 3 years of marriage. He expresses his gratitude for being lucky enough to marry the love of his life, who is also the heiress of the Queen's group. According to Hyun-woo's interview, he claims they lead a happily married life. He wakes up next to his lover, they eat together, and they go to work together. However, this is quite the opposite of their actual story. At the beginning, the couple are deeply in love, prompting them to marry and leading a very happy married life. Yet, a clash arose between them fraught by poor communication. Hae-in comes from a conglomerate family, while Hyun-woo comes from a humble family. Elsewhere, Hong Hae-in, the heiress of the Queen's group, is being interviewed. Hae-in comments on the ongoing gossip about Hyun-woo marrying her solely because of her family wealth. She then reveals how their love life began. The scene shifts to 3 years ago, after Hae-in returned from studying abroad. She joined her father's company, the Queen's group, and worked undercover as an intern. Hae-in often kicked the photocopier machine whenever it got stuck and got scolded by her superior, which worried Hyun-woo. He helped her out each time and taught her personally. One day at work, Hyun-woo had a private conversation with Hae-in. He expressed his concern that her behavior might lead to her being sacked, but Hae-in did not flinch. Unbeknownst to Hyun-woo, her father is the vice chairman of the company, while her grandfather is the chairman. Hyun-woo tried to persuade Hae-in to act properly as an intern and confessed that his heart jumped whenever she was being scolded. Hae-in asked him what made his heart jump when she was the one being scolded. Bewildered, Hyun-woo was speechless. She asked him to think about his reply and left the area with a smile. During closing hour, it was raining outside. Hae-in was in the parking lot, calling her driver to come pick her up when our Prince Charming, Hyun-woo, came by and asked if she had an umbrella. She replied no. Hyun-woo handed her his umbrella and stated he felt bothered every time Hae-in needed help. Hae-in rejected his offer, puzzled, and commented that Hyun-woo had said his heart jumped whenever she was being scolded, and now he was bothered. Hyun-woo boasted about being a graduate from Seoul National University, having studied law, and that his parents were farmers who owned over 30 cows and were well respected in their community. Hae-in did not catch on to Hyun-woo's words. Later, Hyun-woo stated that even if Hae-in was sacked and couldn't find another job, he would be able to take care of her because he liked her. Hearing this, Hae-in was shocked by Hyun-woo's proposal, not knowing what to say. Hyun-woo asked her to think about it, while forcing his umbrella into her hand and running into the rain, using his bag for shelter. Hae-in watched him running in the rain all the way, feeling happy about the whole thing. Back to the present with the interviewers, Hae-in continued her interview and shared more about their past love story. Hae-in said Hyun-woo was shocked when he found out about her family background. She explained that Hyun-woo submitted his resignation letter and ghosted her. While Hyun-woo was in his room at his family house in Yeongdo-ri, he received a text from Hae-in asking him to come outside. Soon after, Hyun-woo heard a noise coming from outside. It was Hae-in, who had arrived in a helicopter to find him in his homeland. When Hyun-woo saw Hae-in, she called to him. Hyun-woo, who had missed her, quickly ran towards her and hugged her. Hae-in promised him not to let him cry if he accepted to marry her. The scene shifts back to the present. Hyun-woo commented that Hae-in was like an angel sent from heaven back then. Suddenly, the interviewer asked, "Not anymore?" Hyun-woo anxiously replied, "She is still an angel," while his hand was trembling. He then commented that they were both leading a happy married life. A few hours later, Hyun-woo's friends gathered together. One of them, named Kim Yang-gi, mentioned that Hyun-woo was getting a divorce and stated he wanted one of them to be his attorney to represent him. They all nodded their heads. One of the friends pointed to Yang-gi to represent him because he was the best divorce lawyer in town. Yang-gi came up with an excuse, stating he was juggling too many cases and assigned another friend, named Choi Cheol-sung, who has a 90% win rate record. Yang-gi offered to help him secretly, but Cheol-sung asked, "Why help secretly? Instead, do it openly. Are you afraid of getting on the Queen's backside and losing your job?" He pretended to smash his handbag on him. Yang-gi said it would be foolish of him to accept representing Hyun-woo, using Hae-in's aunt's lawyer as an example. When she got divorced 3 times, all her ex-husband's attorneys who stood against her were fired. Out of curiosity, one of the other friends wondered why Hyun-woo wanted to divorce. Cheol-sung included that Hyun-woo was living the dream life of all Korean men by being able to marry the heiress of the Queen's group. Kim Yang-gi confidently replied, "She is a lunatic." The next day at work, Hae-in, together with her secretary and other staff members, was walking through the store lobby. Her secretary mentioned the 1 Trillion Club group chat, a group that only CEOs with 1 trillion in sales are invited into. Haein asked why she hadn't been invited, and her secretary replied that their sales were only 880 billion. She asked them to be flexible and round it up, but they firmly refused. The secretary also mentioned the CEO of the Royal Department Store, who was bragging about entering the 1 Trillion Club by the end of the year and boasting about setting up a Hersina on the first floor next to the store fountain. Secretary Na also included that department stores in Korea with Hersina are rated differently than those without, and Hersina brands only work with department stores that are in the 1 Trillion Club. Hearing this made Haein stumble, and she mentioned that it was time to cut off brands that were not profitable to the store. She called her directors to a meeting. Haein, who is the CEO of the Queen's department store, was in a meeting with other directors. Haein addressed shutting down some unprofitable brands. However, one of the directors stated that they sought advice from the legal department team, which forbade them from doing so. Hearing this, Haein inquired about who gave the order. One of the directors replied, "It was Director Baek Hyunwoo, Haein's husband." Everywhere seemed calm. While Hyunwoo was at a meeting with his subordinates in his office, a man came in and told Hyunwoo that the CEO would like to see him. However, Hyunwoo answered that he was in the middle of a meeting. At the same time, Secretary Na also came in, urging Hyunwoo to see the CEO because she was very upset, leaving everyone speechless. Hyunwoo went to meet the CEO in the meeting room. Upon arriving, Haein asked him the reason for stopping them from shutting down brands that were not profitable. Hyunwoo's reply made Haein angry, and she imposed her CEO authority to force him to comply, leaving Hyunwoo with no excuse but to follow her orders. He felt embarrassed. Shortly after, as Hyunwoo was heading to the elevator to return to his office, Haein followed him inside. There, the couple had a heated conversation but were cut off when the elevator reached their destination. Hyunwoo asked to see Haein in the lounge in an hour. At the lounge, Hyunwoo waited for a couple of hours for Haein, but she did not show up. That night, Hyunwoo printed out a divorce agreement and received a text from Haein asking him to come to the family room. There, Hyunwoo was berated by Haein's family members, which made him feel embarrassed. Hyunwoo later went outside to relieve his frustration, played cricket to focus his mind, and later met up with his friend Yangi. Hyunwoo is drunk, and his friend, Yangi, having heard enough of his drunken talk, stands up to take him home, saying his wife is calling him to buy diapers for their baby. But Hyunwoo declined, asking Yangi to go home and assuring him he would be sent home safely. Yangi asked, "By whom?" Hyunwoo looked to his other side, pointing to 2 men sitting at a distant table, saying they would prevent any scandal. Yangi seemed not to believe him. Hyunwoo stood up to verify his claim, and suddenly the 2 men also stood up, which made Yangi bewildered. The men sat back down when Hyunwoo did. After their conversation, Hyunwoo was seen heading home, being followed by the 2 men. On his way home, he was crying and singing. Upon getting home, he stopped by Haein's room door. A few days later, Haein received a call while she was in her office. At the same time, Hyunwoo was heading out, while waiting for the elevator to come around shortly after Haein shows up, asking why weren't you picking your call, and stated we needed to go somewhere, but Hyunwoo declined without asking where they were going, which made Haein puzzled. However, Hyunwoo still firmly refused to go anywhere with her. Instead, Hyunwoo visited his family back in Yeongdeuri, which he had failed to visit during his father's 60th birthday because he was busy with his father-in-law's mother's memorial service. Upon arriving, his sister Baek Mi-seon mentioned she was disappointed in him and Haein, saying that even if he couldn't come home during holidays, he should have attended their father's 60th birthday, calling him heartless. Hyunwoo accepted the blame and mentioned that this was why he was getting a divorce. All the family members were shocked to hear this. He then explained to his parents that he would definitely divorce Haein. His father asked if he was seeing another woman. However, Hyunwoo replied that there was nothing like that, but the situation was too much for him to bear, and he was not happy in the marriage. His father tried to persuade him, but Hyunwoo insisted on getting a divorce, leaving them speechless. While he was returning to Seoul, his sister stopped him and asked him to get out of the car. The 3 siblings had a heart-to-heart conversation to persuade Hyunwoo to reconsider the divorce, all for their own personal benefit. However, Hyunwoo caught on to their persuasion. Meanwhile, Hyunwoo's brother, Baek Hyuntae, was using a gym that belonged to the Queens and hadn't paid rent for it. And his sister also needed money to send to her son who was studying abroad. Angrily, Hyunwoo asked them both, "Are you using me to live a comfortable life?" He stood up and left out of frustration. Upon getting home, Hyun-woo opened his safe, where he had kept the divorce agreement papers. He picked them up and went straight to Hae-in's room. Upon arriving, Hae-in interrupted him before he could say his reasons, saying she would go first since she also had something important to share. She informed him of her condition, saying she was dying and had 3 months left to live. Hearing this, Hyun-woo was shocked and dumbfounded. Hae-in moved closer to him and repeated, "I told you we had somewhere to go." She mentioned that she had gone to the hospital, where the doctor informed her that she was dying and only had 3 months left to live. Then, Hae-in asked Hyun-woo what he had to say. Hyun-woo was dumbfounded and didn't know what to say. He immediately hid the papers while stuttering. Suddenly, he apologized to Hae-in for his actions that day. Hae-in, seeming shocked because she knew they were not on good terms, asked, "Are you serious?" Hyun-woo answered yes and hugged her to sympathize with her. Later, Hyun-woo sat Hae-in down and asked more about the doctor's statement. Hae-in remembered receiving a call earlier in her office from her doctor concerning her test results. Hae-in was heading to the hospital when she met Hyun-woo at the elevator. He refused to go anywhere with her because she couldn't explain her reason further, so she went to the hospital alone. Upon arriving at the hospital lobby, Hae-in was about to check her watch when she suddenly stopped, feeling awkward and disoriented. She found herself in a strange area, as if time had jumped, and suddenly she was in front of the doctor. Shocked and with no knowledge of how she got there, she explained that she remembered being in the lobby and it felt like she had teleported. The doctor asked how long she had been experiencing such episodes. Hae-in explained her condition to the doctor, stating that sometimes she couldn't remember what she had done for several hours and had even missed important appointments. She recalled canceling her schedule to meet with Hyun-woo in the lounge an hour later, but she forgot due to her illness until her secretary reminded her. By the time she got to the lounge, Hyun-woo had already left. After hearing her explanation, the doctor blamed her for not informing him earlier when she started feeling these symptoms. However, Hae-in thought she was just zoning out due to exhaustion more, so she didn't feel any physical pain. Worriedly, she asked, "If is something wrong with me?" The doctor informed her that she had a cloudcytoma, a very rare brain tumor that could not be treated either by surgery or medication because it had dispersed throughout her cranial nerves. The doctor added that if it worsened, it could cause hallucinations or personality disorders. During the doctor's explanation, Hae-in was already hallucinating, imagining herself in another place, a deserted area, which signified that her condition had already worsened. The doctor called her back to reality and added that she was dying and only had 3 months left to live. Hearing this, Hae-in was shocked and terrified for her life. Back to the couple's discussion, Hae-in was not convinced by the doctor's words. She wondered why she was subjected to the disease, given that she had always watched her health closely. She never ate junk food, instead opting for healthy and nutritious meals, and she had been staying healthy since birth. Hyun-woo interrupted her, asking her to calm down. He suggested they revisit the hospital to get a second opinion and ensure there was no misdiagnosis. In reality, Hyun-woo was relieved. He no longer needed to go against the powerful Queen's group, ruled by the formidable Hong family, in order to divorce Hae-in, their heiress. To be sure, he wanted to confirm the diagnosis from the doctor himself. In the morning, while Hyun-woo and Hae-in were on their way to visit the doctor, she warned Hyun-woo not to reveal her illness to any of her family members. She explained that she was close to joining the 1 trillion sales club, and her grandfather, Hong Dae-man, the chairman of the Queen's group, had promised to gift her the department store if she could achieve over 1 trillion in sales. She didn't want to ruin this opportunity. Hyun-woo was surprised after hearing his workaholic wife's reason for neglecting to inform her family about her illness. Hae-in added that her brother, Hong Soo-cheol, and her mother were the type who would send her out of the house if they found out about her illness. They would likely fight over her assets. Upon arriving at the hospital, the doctor repeated that the results were still the same. Hyun-woo asked the doctor for confirmation on Hae-in's proclaimed 3 months to live. The doctor replied, "I can't say for certain." Frustrated, Hyun-woo asked the doctor to be exact in his assessment. However, Hae-in stood up, ready to leave. Hyun-woo insisted, "I need to hear the doctor's answer," but Hae-in left the room, leaving him there. Turning back to the doctor, Hyun-woo pleaded, "I need you to be precise. My life is on the line here." Hyun-woo needed confirmation to know how to plan his next steps. As soon as Hae-in arrived at the company, she encountered her mother, Seon-hwa. Her mother confronted her, demanding to know where Hyun-woo was, intending to blame him for not taking care of the money her son Soo-cheol had overpaid for corporate taxes. Instead, he reported it to the chairman. Hae-in replied that she had no time for that, stating she was distracted by a serious matter. Her mother, unconcerned, expressed her worry about Soo-cheol, who had a panic attack due to the chairman's anger. Haein smirked and said, "I told you I have a serious matter. Aren't you curious?" Seonhwa replied, "You can handle your problems, no matter how big or small." Haein had always acted strong-headed toward her parents since her mother stopped showing her maternal care because of past occurrences. Haein responded, "I will take care of my problem," and asked her mother to leave. Seonhwa insisted, "I am not here for you anyway, but to see Hyunwoo." Haein blocked her way, saying, "Stop provoking us, or I will torment your son no matter how busy or distracted I am." Her mother replied, "Do you think I will sit by and watch? Bring it on." And she left in annoyance. Later, Hyunwoo met with his friend Yangi, who happened to be a divorce attorney, at a restaurant. While they were having a meal, Yangi stated he would assist Hyunwoo in the divorce process while going against the queens. Although it was a tough decision because the Hong family never tolerated anyone who turned their back on them and instead made their life a living hell, Hyunwoo proclaimed he was no longer divorcing, saying God granted him a safe departure. Not wanting to explain further, Hyunwoo wrote a note and gave it to Kim Yangi, which instructed him to meet at a park in 30 minutes. During their meeting at the park, Hyunwoo commented that what he was about to tell him was confidential. They both leaned out of the car windows, and Hyunwoo told him about Haein's illness. In the meantime, Hyunwoo and Yangi are seen at the shore. Hyunwoo explains further that Haein only has 3 months left to live, and that he even met with her doctor to confirm this. Yangi, wanting to shake hands with Hyunwoo, is declined as Hyunwoo doesn't want to show his gratitude. Yangi exclaims that Hyunwoo will automatically take over the Queen's group since he is the husband of the heiress. Hyunwoo replies, "Do you think they are that dumb?" Yangi asks if she signed a prenup about not dividing her assets. Then he mentions that unless she wrote it in her will, it could be an issue. Hyunwoo replies, "Yes, she did that before we got married." Meanwhile, Haein's mother, Seonhwa, instructed Haein to write her will, ensuring her assets would not be shared with her husband before giving them her blessing. Hyunwoo doesn't care about their assets. All he wants is freedom. However, Yangi brings out a professional idea, suggesting that within the 3 months Haein has left, Hyunwoo should win her heart over so she can revise her will. At first, Hyunwoo rejects the idea, but in the next scene, he puts it into action. It's their wedding anniversary, and Hyunwoo prepared a bouquet of flowers to wish Haein a happy anniversary. However, Haein was not convinced because the couple was not on good terms. Hyunwoo explained that during their first anniversary, he made a reservation and prepared a surprise, but Haein got upset and asked him not to make a scene. This caused Hyunwoo not to prepare anything for the next anniversary, which also made Haein mad at him for listening to her. Hyunwoo's intention was to get Haein to fall in love with him so she could retract her will, prompting him to prepare flowers to celebrate their anniversary. Haein asked, "Has our marriage been so lovely that you would bring flowers for me on our anniversary?" Hyunwoo replied, "I can't say yes to that, but we could always make it lovely." He then left the flowers on her table and wished her a happy anniversary. At first, Haein acted less concerned, but soon after, she called her secretary to bring a vase for the flowers. Hyunwoo continued to impress Haein. At the family dining table, they usually sat far from each other, but Hyunwoo brought his food close to Haein and commented that he would always sit close to her. He even peeled shrimp for her, which had never happened since they got married, surprising the maid and confusing Haein. The next day, at a conference meeting at work, Haein choked on water. Hyunwoo quickly rushed to tend to her, worry evident on his face. This incident left Haein's father, her brother, and even the executives confused by Hyunwoo's actions. He even told secretary not to call for an ambulance. From this moment on, Hyunwoo began to fall for Haein, though he was unaware of it. Elsewhere, Haein's aunt, Beomja, drove to a church. At the same time, inside the church, a couple was getting married. Beomja happened to be the ex-wife of the groom, and the bride was her former secretary. As soon as Beomja opened the door and entered the church, the groom, out of fear, mistakenly called her his wife, startling everyone present, including the priest. Beomja approached them. In a panic, the groom hurriedly removed the ring from his hand. It was revealed that he had cheated on Beomja with her secretary. In retaliation, Beomja grabbed a bouquet from the bride and hit the groom repeatedly in the face with it. Later, she uprooted a decorative plant in the church, intending to hit the groom with it. The scene then showed an ambulance arriving, with Hyunwoo following behind. A few days later, while Hyunwoo was working in his home office, he recalled the doctor's words about Haein's prognosis. The doctor had said that the chance of Haein's survival was very low, but that miracles do happen. Shocked and worried, Hyunwoo had asked the doctor how often these miracles occur. The doctor responded that he had seen several patients recover miraculously from even more hopeless illnesses. Back in his office, Hyunwoo researched online and was dumbfounded to find stories of people living well after being diagnosed with the same disease as Haein. He eventually fell asleep at his desk. Shortly after, Haein arrived home and checked on Hyunwoo's room, finding him asleep. She intended to wake him to sleep properly, but stopped when she noticed his laptop. There, she found Hyunwoo's research about her illness. This incident moved Haein, and she decided not to submit to fate, feeling encouraged to fight her illness. Haein had been suspecting Hyunwoo's recent kindness, thinking he had other motives. However, seeing his research cleared all her suspicions. She assured Hyunwoo that she wouldn't die for his sake. She added that she had done some research and found some labs abroad that were developing a cure for her disease. She intended to fund them to hasten their development. The next scene shows Haein attending an event hosted by Mr. Herman, the chairman of the Hersina brand. She attends the event with the aim of bringing their brand into her store. Soon after, Ina, the CEO of Royal Department Store and Haein's longtime rival, appears. After they greet each other, Ina brags about bringing Hersina to her store, prompting Haein to proudly state that she aims to do the same. To win against Haein, Ina mentions Mr. Herman's preferences, stating that he values company ethos and believes that those who form good relationships are the best business partners. Ina also comments that everyone at the event has come with their spouse, lover, or family, whereas Haein is a lone wolf without good relationships with her husband or family, and without friends. Haein looks around as Ina explains this, feeling depressed. As soon as Ina leaves, Haein rushes to the restroom and calls Hyunwoo, asking him to come over. Hyunwoo replies that he is in the middle of a trial at court and hangs up. As Haein steps out of the restroom, she encounters Yina again. Yina wants to completely defeat Haein and, as Haein was about to pass her, she asks if her husband is coming. Haein replies that he is in a trial. Yina seizes the opportunity to mock her, claiming that it's a fitting excuse. Haein insists that Hyunwoo is indeed in a trial. Yina then mentions the rumor that Hyunwoo married Haein for her wealth, leaving Haein feeling defeated and embarrassed. Yina brags that she has a peaceful life with her husband because they are both in love and face the same direction. She asks Haein how it feels not to be loved by her husband. Haein retorts, "Why ask me?" Yina responds, "Since you've never been loved by your husband." Feeling a great sense of defeat, Haein leaves, with Yina following her back to the event hall. Yina tells Haein that she should have married Yoon Eun-sung, explaining that he is Mr. Herman's right-hand man and the key to getting close to him. Haein is bewildered. Meanwhile, Eun-sung is her university friend who had deep affection for her, but she turned him down. Yina then calls Eun-sung over. As Eun-sung approaches, Haein smiles at him, intending to use him to get close to Mr. Herman. The two are seen together, with Haein initially acting friendly, saying Eun-sung should have called her since he returned to Korea. Eun-sung reminds her of her last words when she told him not to contact her again. Haein tries to brush it off, but Eun-sung sees through her act. Eventually, she admits to it and goes straight to her initial statement, saying that she and Yina are competing to bring Hersina into their stores and asks for his help in getting close to Mr. Herman. Eun-sung says he has no reason to help her. Haein brings up their past relationship and advises Eun-sung to move on from it and collaborate with her. Later, Mr. Herman is seen appreciating the attendees. Haein anxiously waits for Hyunwoo, texting him to arrive before Mr. Herman reaches her, not wanting to make a bad impression. Meanwhile, Yina appears with her husband, laughing at Haein. Shortly after, a couple rushes to join the line to be greeted by Mr. Herman. They accidentally bump into her, causing Haein to stagger. Luckily, Hyunwoo arrives just in time and catches her, preventing her from falling. Surprised and happy to see him, Haein asks about the trial. Hyunwoo replies that he won quickly to see her. This response touches Haein's heart, and she appreciates his punctuality. Mr. Herman approaches, and Haein greets him, boasting about her husband's profession. Eun-sung feels jealous, and Hyunwoo greets Mr. Herman. Yina is speechless at Haein's handsome husband, and even Mr. Herman praises Hyunwoo's handsomeness, making Haein proud. Later, Haein meets Yina at the bar to retaliate for her earlier humiliation. She belittles Yina's husband, bragging about Hyunwoo's handsomeness, and leaves confidently. Shortly after, Yina's husband arrives, eating like a glutton, making Yina angry and prompting her to ask him to move away with his ugly look. After the party, the jealous Eun-sung meets Hyunwoo with a glass of water in hand. Initially, Eun-sung approaches Hyunwoo to confirm if he and his wife are happily married as claimed. He tells Hyunwoo that he had a very good relationship with Haein in the past to see his reaction. However, Hyunwoo's reaction seems odd. Eun-sung goes further, admitting that he likes Haein, but Hyunwoo seems unconcerned, which shocks Eun-sung and prompts him to ask, "Aren't you bothered?" After getting what he wants, confirmation that their relationship is not as perfect as it seems, they clink glasses and drink their water. Later, Hyun-woo is seen in the restroom washing his hands. He recalls when Eun-sung told him he liked Hae-in, feeling annoyed and thinking he should have worked harder to marry Hae-in. Then his life would have been saved. However, Hyun-woo is unaware of his own jealousy. When Hyun-woo steps out of the restroom, he sees his wife Hae-in with Eun-sung, observing how beautifully Hae-in smiles and noting that they are both smiling. This makes Hyun-woo feel jealous. Not long after, Yina's husband approaches him carrying fruit. As he talks to Hyun-woo, he is preoccupied with looking at Hae-in. Then Yina's husband mentions that half of the people here came to meet Eun-sung as he sees Hyun-woo focused on him. Hyun-woo asks about Eun-sung's profession. In the next scene, Grace is explaining to Seonhwa, Hae-in's mother, how influential Eun-sung is, noting that he is a tycoon whom even Chairman Yeom is eager to meet. Dahae, Soo-cheol's wife, adds that Soo-cheol is trying to meet and partner with him. Not long after, Hae-in appears, cutting their conversation short. Seonhwa tells her to invite Eun-sung to join the family hunting trip since he was her university friend, but Hae-in declines, saying she doesn't have any reason to invite him. Seonhwa then offers to drop the lawsuit she has against Hae-in because Hae-in built her store on Seonhwa's land. During the family hunting trip, everyone is split into different groups. Hae-in and Hyun-woo are in the same group. While hunting, Hae-in advises Hyun-woo to catch something since he has never caught anything before. Hyun-woo still seems unconvinced, which prompts Hae-in to state that hunting requires stamina and quick judgment, which are virtues of a businessman. Hae-in then runs forward to hunt. At the same time, Grace, the family butler, is seen making a call and pointing in a direction on a map showing a wire fence demarcating a wild habitat, as if planning something. Shortly after, Hae-in appears at the wire fence. While hunting, she undergoes a personality change, where she was hesitating to shoot a pheasant, feeling pity. However, Hae-in is known for being cold-hearted. Hae-in feels tired after the pheasant flies away and crouches to tie her hair. Suddenly, a white cloud covers the area, signaling she is hallucinating due to her illness. She moves forward, feeling scared, also trying to snap out of the hallucination. A boar suddenly appears, running towards her. Snapping out of her hallucination, all she can think of is Hyun-woo. As she closes her eyes, expecting her death, Hyun-woo appears out of nowhere and shoots down the boar, saving her. He turns to Hae-in to comfort her and relieve her shock. Soon, Eun-sung, who left his course to join Hae-in's, appears, worrying about her. Hyun-woo jealously confronts him, saying Hae-in was startled and needed some rest, and he takes her away, leaving Eun-sung curious about Hyun-woo's actions. On their way back to the camp, Hae-in sprains her ankle, and Hyun-woo carries her. Back at the camp, Beomja takes off her glasses in surprise, and even Soo-cheol and Hae-in's father are astonished to see Hyun-woo carrying Hae-in in his arms. However, the boar attack was orchestrated by Mo Sol-hee, the chairman's girlfriend, to divert the chairman's attention toward a shaman's belief. She had called him back, warning there was danger as the shaman instructed, suggesting the chairman to consult the shaman before making big decisions. The family gathers, caring for Hae-in. Soo-cheol wonders how a novice like Hyun-woo, who hasn't killed any animal before since their hunting, managed to kill a boar with one shot. Hae-in's father compliments Hyun-woo, explaining that boars have thick skin and require a lot of experience to catch. Seonhwa, Hae-in's mother, blames Hyun-woo for acting recklessly, confirming that it was lucky for him to have killed the boar, making Hae-in to interrupt, mentioning that Hyun-woo was a Marine in the Special Guard team and was known for his shooting skills, shocking Soo-cheol, who had offered to teach him earlier. Hae-in continues, saying she wouldn't be alive if Hyun-woo had hesitated, which makes everyone appreciative. Later, Hyun-woo scans the course area and discovers that someone purposely pried the wire fence to lure the boar inside the chairman's hunting course, which Hae-in took over. At night, during dinner, Hyun-woo mentions his findings about the pried wire fence. Sol-hee explains that the attack was supposed to be for the chairman, stating it was an intentional act to lure the boar inside the course. Grace suggests checking the nearby CCTV and dashcams to find out, but the chairman insists on checking them himself. Later, at the security office, the chairman reviews the CCTV footage and discovers that his first son, Beom-suk, came to the hunting ground, leading him to conclude that Beom-suk is the culprit, although this is not the case. Back at the house, Hae-in received a mail from one of the labs she had funded to invent a drug for her illness. The mail confirmed that they were unable to create the drug, making her feel depressed. However, she still didn't accept her fate. She went through her shelves of limited edition items she had yet to use and thought about the many islands she had bought but hadn't visited. She even opened a vault full of artwork, thinking it would be a waste if she died. Finally, she opened Hyun-woo's door while he was sleeping and looked at him with a warm heart, thinking he would be the biggest loss. The next morning at work, while Hyun-woo was in a meeting with his subordinates and Hae-in was heading to her office with Secretary Na, she was busy gazing at Hyun-woo lovingly. It must have been because of his handsome looks. Suddenly, she stopped and asked Secretary Na, out of curiosity, if there was any woman whose heart raced when they saw their husband because he was so handsome. She added that whenever she looked into his eyes, she wanted to embrace him and hold him close. She pitied him and felt bad for such a soft soul to endure a harsh world. However, Secretary Na's response seemed odd. She advised Hae-in to tell the person to visit a hospital for a brain checkup. Hae-in met with the doctor, explaining that she felt sympathy for others, which was unusual for her, as she had always been cold-hearted. She recalled once hanging an umbrella over a kitten eating on the rainy road. She also mentioned feeling empathy when she encountered a solicitor, which was not allowed in the company. Secretary Na explained that she offered the solicitor a favor because his baby was in an incubator. Secretary Na apologized, promising to stop him from coming, but Hae-in forbade her and granted the solicitor access to the company until his baby was discharged. While Hae-in was in the restroom, she overheard one of her staff crying over her mother's health. Hae-in also cried out of empathy, claiming to the doctor that she was never like that and asked if these were symptoms of her illness. The doctor explained that terminally ill patients often experience such changes of heart and insinuated that her time might be near. However, Hae-in strongly believed she wouldn't die and that her miracle luck would appear because she had been on the brink of death many times but had survived. She stood up and told the doctor to watch how another miracle would save her. Later, Hyun-woo visited Beom-suk together with Hae-in's father. While they were inside, Beom-suk admitted that he had gone to the hunting ground because he knew his father would be there, unaware of the impending attack. Hae-in's father then expressed that someone had purposely pried the wire fence open, luring a boar inside to attack his daughter. Things got heated between the two brothers, but eventually calmed down. Beom-suk explained that he went to the hunting ground knowing it was the family hunting day. He mentioned that Sul-hee had disallowed him from seeing the chairman, saying he was asleep, even after he begged her to let him in, but to no avail. Beom-suk then asked Hae-in's father to help him meet with the chairman to reconcile their past differences before it was too late. However, Hae-in's father advised him to lose hope and left. After getting home, Hae-in's father came across Sul-hee while he was on his way to meet the chairman. Sul-hee blocked him and told him that the chairman was sleeping. Hesitating, Hae-in's father then asked if Beom-suk had met her at the hunting ground, but she denied it. She tried to drive a wedge between the brothers, advising him to be wary of Beom-suk, stating that he held grudges after being kicked out of the family. She warned that those who have nothing to lose are the most dangerous. One morning, while Hyun-woo was sitting in the living room waiting for Hae-in to arrive, he was astonished to see a beautiful angel coming down the stairs. It was Hae-in. He stood up to meet her, and when she reached him, Hae-in asked about her dress. Hyun-woo was too shocked to reply and could only nod his head. As Hae-in continued talking, Hyun-woo couldn't help but stare at the angel in front of him, his heart pounding. Later, while outside the house and about to head to work, Hyun-woo was still wondering why Hae-in looked so beautiful. Soon, Hae-in called out for him, and as he looked back, he was lost again, seeing the stunning Hae-in. As they both walked to the car, Hae-in complimented Hyun-woo's suit, saying it looked good on him. The compliment made him happy, and he smiled. The love between the couple have starts to grow back. Even at the office, when Hyun-woo was passing by Hae-in's office, he saw her frowning while looking at a document. Based on his past experience with Hae-in, he counted down from 5 to 1, anticipating that she would throw a tantrum. Not long after, she shouted and became mean, which made Hyun-woo complain internally that Hae-in's yelling and sudden outbursts made him scared and made his heart race. But when Hae-in turned over the page of the document, she smiled and seemed interested. Hyun-woo stumbled, surprised to see her smiling, and he found himself smiling heartily too. However, he quickly cautioned himself and tried to regain his composure. Later, Hyun-woo met with his friend Yang-gi to explain his ordeal. Yang-gi explained that Hyun-woo had fallen in love with Hae-in, but Hyun-woo didn't accept it. Then Yang-gi asked why he had bought her shoes. Hyun-woo remembered that while he was in the lobby, he had spotted Hae-in walking up and had shouted out of worry when she wanted to fall. He suddenly hit himself. There, he saw a pair of shoes. He told Yang-gi that he was just acting to make Hae-in's heart flutter so she would change her will. Yang-gi then asked about Hae-in's reaction when he gave her the shoes. Hae-in had accepted them, as Hyun-woo explained that he was worried she would fall since all her shoes she had was a thin, high heels. Then Hyunwoo asked her to wear comfortable ones once in a while. Yangi confirmed Hyunwoo's feelings when he noticed Hyunwoo grilling vegetables instead of meat. After Hyunwoo had told him about seeing Eun-sung touch Haeun's hair, made Hyunwoo jealous. Even when Hyunwoo was heading home, he stopped by a stall to buy peanut cake and ordered 2 bags. Yangi asked whom the other bag was for, which assured him that Hyunwoo was truly in love with Haeun, though Hyunwoo still didn't accept it. Later, Hyunwoo received a message from Haeun, prompting him to come home on time, saying she had something good to tell him. Yangi rejoiced with Hyunwoo upon seeing the message, hoping it meant Haeun had changed her will. When Hyunwoo got home, he gave the peanut cake he bought earlier to Haeun. She accepted his gesture and tasted it, and Hyunwoo felt happy as Haeun commented on the cake. Hyunwoo then asked about the good news Haeun had for him. Haeun pointed for Hyunwoo to pick up a document and asked him to open it. The document contained research from one of the labs she had funded, showing that they had found a cure for her illness with a success chance of over 50%. Hyunwoo was shocked upon hearing this, but Haeun thought he was happy. Later, Hyunwoo was seen outside running a few laps and freaking out in agony. Later, Haeun's mother visited her. She was quarreling with Haeun, accusing her of stopping Eun-sung from investing in Sucheol Resort. During the argument, Haeun, overwhelmed by frustration, nearly collapsed. Fortunately, Hyunwoo appeared and caught her, preventing her from falling. Hyunwoo explained that Haeun was feeling unwell and needed to rest. Her mother, however, showed little concern and instead snubbed Hyunwoo for asking her to leave while she was still talking to Haeun. She left angrily, leaving poor Haeun standing there, confused. Elsewhere, Baek Dugwon, Hyunwoo's father, is contesting for the village head post. He is at a disadvantage because his opponent, Park Suk-hun, offers the villagers half-price lunch at his mother's restaurant, which makes him well received by the people. While Hyunwoo's father is being badmouthed, Mi Seon messages Haeun to render support in order to turn the tables in his favor. Not long after, Haeun arrives with a group of people, explaining that she failed to attend her father-in-law's birthday, so she has come to treat the villagers to a meal. She gives everyone gifts and offers them free food, managing to sway the villagers' support. Later, Hyunwoo's mother calls him and informs him about Haeun being in the village. When Haeun goes to Hyunwoo's room, she rummages through it and finds an old MP3 player. Unbeknownst to Haeun, the MP3 player belongs to her. Many years ago, when Haeun's transfer to study abroad was announced at school, Hyunwoo was admitted to the school on the same day. Right outside the school compound, Haeun tripped and fell, bruising her knee. Young Hyunwoo appeared and helped treat her injury. As Hyunwoo stretched out his hand to assist Haeun, he noticed her crying. Young Haeun denied it before hurrying away. When Haeun fell earlier, the MP3 player had dropped, which Hyunwoo picked up. The scene shifts back to the present when Haeun is outside listening to music with the gadget. Baek Ho-yeol shows up, questioning Haeun's presence at their compound. Haeun explains she is Baek Hyunwoo's wife, prompting Ho-yeol to apologize and greet her properly. As a car enthusiast, Ho-yeol asks about the car he saw outside, asking if it belongs to Haeun and if he can ride in it. Haeun instructs her driver to drive Ho-yeol a few laps around the village. As Haeun turns to return to the house, the gadget falls. When she bends to pick it up, she suddenly finds herself in another place, all dirty, signaling her illness has relapsed. She looks around, trying to find her way home, but to no avail. Feeling scared, she falls to the ground. At the village, Hyunwoo arrives, seeing the feast, goes straight inside to meet his father at the community hall. He learns that Haeun is at home, but his brother Hyuntae mentions he didn't see her when he went home, prompting Hyunwoo to call her. Upon getting home, he confirms with the driver that Haeun is missing. As Hyunwoo takes out his phone to call her, he sees the gadget lying in a corner of the compound. Picking it up, he concludes that Haeun's illness might have resurfaced. Hyunwoo rides around the village on his bicycle, searching for Haeun. It's late, and Haeun is roaming the roads with no sense of direction. Suddenly, she spots a light coming close to her. It's Hyunwoo. Getting close, he yells out of worry, but Haeun denies that her illness has relapsed, insisting she came for a walk. Hyunwoo apologizes for yelling. As he turned to return to the village, Haeun, who doesn't want anyone to pity her, anxiously mentions that she forgot and couldn't remember anything, explaining her condition and admitting that she was scared. Seeing her in such poor condition, Hyunwoo rushes to her, hugging her tightly with tears rolling in his eyes, his heart breaking for her. Soon after, Hyunwoo's family members also came into the rain searching for Haeun. She was deeply moved to receive such love and concern from them. This outpouring of support touched Haeun's heart, making her feel more accepted and loved than ever before. Although the couple were happily married and deeply in love with each other, they suddenly started experiencing awkwardness. The scene shifts to 2 years ago. Hae-in cleared out their baby's nursery without informing Hyun-woo. When Hyun-woo asked her about it, she explained that it was no longer useful and said it irritated her, which made Hyun-woo angry. He returned to the room and asked the cleaner to leave his belongings there, leading to the couple sleeping in separate rooms. Hae-in, too proud to admit her grief over a miscarriage, accused Hyun-woo of blaming her, causing a huge rift between the once happy couple. Later in the city, Hae-in's grandfather, Chairman Hong, was in a meeting with a few family members. Soo-cheol mentioned a business in which Eun-sung offered to invest in. However, Hyun-woo saw some loopholes and requested further assessment before proceeding with the project, which everyone except Soo-cheol accepted. As Hyun-woo went outside after the meeting concluded, Soo-cheol followed him. They were interrupted when Hyun-woo received a call from the forest watchman, informing him about a gas delivery man who came around during the family hunting trip and had obtained the memory card from the dashcam. However, it was small, and the old footage had been deleted. The next scene shows Hyun-woo handing the memory card to a repairman to restore the deleted footage. Beom-ja visited a man named Conan Park after Sul-hee hit her, and the chairman ignored her for his girlfriend. She had a bad feeling against Sul-hee. Conan Park happened to be a secret investigator, and Beom-ja handed over a document containing Sul-hee's picture, asking him to do a background check on her. Hae-in went to the hospital, and the doctor advised her to postpone her treatment in Germany because her WBC count was too low for the treatment. The doctor recommended waiting to increase her WBC count before leaving for treatment, but Hae-in insisted, explaining she didn't have much time to wait and left. While outside the doctor's room, the doctor followed her, hoping to persuade her, but Hae-in insisted, claiming she didn't feel any pain. Beom-ja overheard their conversation when she came to treat her injury from when Sul-hee hit her. She then asked Hae-in the reason for visiting a neurologist. Outside the hospital, Hae-in explained her condition to her aunt, Beom-ja. Beom-ja mentioned her friend Mi-young, who had a brain tumor 5 years ago, claiming she was fine and the healthiest one. Hae-in encouraged her aunt, who was worried, by saying she was going to Germany for the cure and implored her aunt not to tell the family members, revealing that only Hyun-woo knew. Beom-ja promised to keep her secret, then stood up to leave but returned to hug Hae-in, comforting her. Later, when Beom-ja was in her car, she called her friend Mi-young, but her number was not available. She then called another friend to ask about Mi-young and was told that she had died due to the disease. Beom-ja cried upon hearing the news. A few days later, Hae-in was heading to the airport for her trip to Germany. Beom-ja rushed to her, wondering why she was leaving alone, and asked if Hyun-woo was coming. Hae-in replied that he was busy and that she preferred to go alone. When her aunt offered to accompany her, Hae-in declined. That night, Beom-ja waited for Hyun-woo at the entrance of the house. When he arrived, she blamed him for not following Hae-in to Germany. Hyun-woo, unaware of Hae-in's departure, was shocked and speechless. Once inside the house, he called her to find out her whereabouts, but Hae-in had turned off her phone while on the plane, leaving him unable to reach her and feeling helpless. Later, Hyun-woo met with his friend Yang-gi. While they were talking, Hyun-woo was preoccupied with his phone. Yang-gi took his phone and noticed that Hyun-woo was checking the weather in Germany. Yang-gi mentioned that Hyun-woo had initially pretended to like Hae-in, but eventually fell in love with her. Soon after, Yang-gi's wife called, and he stepped away to take the call. Left alone, Hyun-woo watched a video of Hae-in during an interview where she expressed her desire to travel with her husband, take walks, drink tea, eat, chat, and spend every day together. Meanwhile, it was afternoon in Germany, and Hae-in was at the hospital. The doctors were taking a few samples from her for checkup and assessing her current state before proceeding with the treatment. The next morning, Hyun-woo rushed to the airport to depart for Germany. In Germany, Hae-in met with the doctor. The doctor gratefully appreciated Hae-in for her support. Unconcerned, Hae-in asked when she would start her treatment, but the doctor mentioned that her health had worsened based on their assessment. He suggested giving it some time and trying again later, but Hae-in was worried because time was not on her side. Hae-in visited a place where she had gone with Hyun-woo during their honeymoon. As she was returning, she lamented about the abundance of stairs while wearing high heels. She sat down to take off her shoes when she heard a voice calling her name. Looking around and feeling confused, she saw Hyun-woo, her handsome Prince Charming, coming towards her. Hae-in couldn't believe her eyes. Hyun-woo unzipped his bag, took out a pair of comfy shoes, and put them on her. Hae-in asked how Hyun-woo managed to track her down. Hyun-woo explained that she had turned off her phone, and the hospital informed him that she had left after being rejected. This place came to his mind because they had visited it during their honeymoon, and Hae-in liked it. Hae-in stood up, claiming it was a lie and that she never liked it. Hyunwoo replied, "No, you are the liar," explaining that Haein had promised not to make him cry when she proposed to him, but he had cried a lot during their marriage. The couple stated their differences, apologized to each other, and made up by kissing. The dashcam's deleted footage has been restored, revealing that Dahae, Soo Cheol's wife, is the culprit who pried the fence at the hunting ground. Eun Sung sent Dahae to spy on the family, along with Grace, the family butler. Additionally, it turns out that Sol-hee is the birth mother of Eun Sung. Eun Sung needs evidence to oust Hyunwoo from the family because he reunites the family and prevents Eun Sung from taking control. One night, Dahae and Eun Sung break into Hyunwoo's room while he and Haein are in Germany. Eun Sung rummages through Hyunwoo's belongings to find dirt on him. Dahae mentions that Grace has been monitoring Hyunwoo for over 3 years and has found nothing incriminating. Eun Sung then opens Hyunwoo's safe and discovers a secret compartment, wondering why someone with nothing to hide would have something like this. One morning, Haein calls Hyunwoo to check the mail from the lab, which contains information about a treatment called filgrastim therapy. This therapy could enhance her low white blood cell count, though it's not guaranteed to be effective. Despite the uncertainty, they want to give it a try. Unbeknownst to Haein, Hyunwoo had already visited the lab and threatened the doctor with a lawsuit for fraud. He accused the doctor of deceptively collecting support funds from Haein, which were meant as appreciation for her treatment, and claimed that the treatment was invalid. The doctor, facing the threat of legal action, had no choice but to agree to proceed with the treatment. Back in Korea, Eun Sung visits a shop that turns out to be the dashcam footage repairer's place. He successfully obtains the deleted footage by offering the repairman a large sum of money. Meanwhile, Grace visits Dahae to reprimand her for jeopardizing their plan. However, Grace finds Dahae with someone and, after leaving, she hits her from behind. She then shows Dahae the footage. Dahae was shocked seeing herself getting fat. Grace warns Dahae to stay focused and not to ruin their plan. But Dahae put the blame on Grace, saying her incompetence almost get her being caught, and Grace should have looked out for her since they are both on the same team. At the lab in Germany, a nurse calls Haein for her injection. As Haein follows her, she turns back and sees a young boy whose back looks familiar to her. She runs out of the hospital after him. On the street, the boy suddenly stops, and Haein also stops as the boy turns around. Meanwhile, back at the hospital, Hyunwoo is expecting Haein's arrival. A nurse informs him that Haein was spotted on the lab CCTV running out of the hospital. He rushes outside hurriedly to search for her, thinking her illness has relapsed. Hyunwoo sees a group of people gathered around a woman who has fallen from a bicycle. He rushes over, thinking it might be Haein, but luckily it isn't. Someone tugs at his clothes from behind, and he turns around to see Haein. Concerned, he hugs her. Later, as they sit together, Hyunwoo asks if it was her illness and if she could remember anything. This time, she is able to remember. She narrates seeing her late brother, Hong Soo-won. Haein recalls that when she was little, they went on a boat ride during their summer vacation. They got into a mysterious accident, causing their boat to sink, and she was rescued by her late brother. Upon reaching the shore, Haein asked her mother about Soo-won's whereabouts, saying he saved her. After a thorough search, he was found dead, and her mother blamed Haein for his death and couldn't forgive her for a long time. Hyunwoo comforts her, saying it wasn't her fault. Eun Sung gifted the chairman an artwork, which made the chairman very happy because it happened to be his favorite picture. The chairman asked how he could repay Eun Sung, but Eun Sung said he gifted it out of respect for him. Later, the chairman mentioned the resort complex Soo Cheol was working on. Eun Sung's response made the chairman have second thoughts, but they were interrupted when a man came in and called him out. While discussing with the man, along with Haein's father, the man mentioned that Mr. Song had embezzled 13 billion without anyone knowing, which had caused a lot of trouble for the company and might lead to the chairman being prosecuted. Later, the chairman was playing a game with his girlfriend, Sol-hee. A piece of the game fell, and as she bent to pick it up, she spotted a sound transmitter beneath the table. They called for a technician, who thoroughly searched the house and found the receiver inside Hyunwoo's room. This device was planted by Eun Sung to get Hyunwoo out of the family. Unbeknownst to them, the picture Eun Sung gifted the chairman was bugged with a camera, and he was watching them as they were listening to the receiver they found in Hyunwoo's room. They later discovered Hyunwoo's secret safe. The chairman ordered it to be opened, and inside, they found a document handed over to the chairman, which contained divorce papers that Hyunwoo had prepared, shocking everyone. However, Byung-ja received the results of her findings about Sol-hee. She learned about Sol-hee's past deeds and discovered that she had given birth. Conan Park, however, forbade Byung-ja from revealing this information because it could jeopardize their investigation by alerting Sol-hee. Thanks to their ignorance, Eun-sung successfully caused a rift between Hyun-woo and the rest of the family. When Hae-in heard about the divorce agreement, it also drove a wedge between her and Hyun-woo. The whole situation made Hae-in feel depressed, and she cried. As she intended to move, she found herself on the main road with a car approaching speedily. Thankfully, the car dodged her, but soon after, a truck was approaching, honking for her to leave the road. Feeling hopeless and expecting her death, Hae-in stood still. Just in time, Hyun-woo appeared and dragged her away from the road. While Hyun-woo was worrying about her, Hae-in told him that if such an occurrence happened again, he shouldn't save her. Hyun-woo and Hae-in returned to Korea. At the airport, Hyun-woo saw Soo Cheol on a TV screen participating in a ring signing event, which was being held without any legal advice. Hae-in was in a meeting with her family members. Her father intended to investigate Hyun-woo to find out the reason for the divorce, but Hae-in stopped him, saying the audit team would handle it. She added that since Hyun-woo would leave Queen's group after the divorce, she needed to find out the reason by checking his computer, financial documents, phone, and accounts. Hae-in declared that if she found any evidence of embezzlement, she would file a claim for damages. To cut the story short, she intended to ruin Hyun-woo's career in retaliation for the divorce. Leaving everyone bewildered, she stood up, told them not to get in her way, and took the divorce documents with her. However, before Hyun-woo left for Germany, he had parked his car opposite the dash cam repair shop. Since Hae-in didn't find any fault with Hyun-woo and acknowledged his competency, she decided to go further and hired Vincenzo, a consigliere mafia lawyer known for his brutality. Yang emphasized that Vincenzo doesn't negotiate with words, he deals in killing. Later, Hyun-woo, together with Byung-ja, met with investigator Conan Park. The investigator proceeded to explain that Sol-hee had sent her son to an orphanage in Gangwon province, in Wonsan. Hearing this, Hyun-woo mentioned that it was near their family hunting ground. Byung-ja hastily added that they have a villa there as well. Conan stated that the orphanage was Evergreen Hope Orphanage. Meanwhile, Chairman Hong had sponsored the orphanage for several years, which made Byung-ja burst out in surprise. They all went to meet the forest watchman for further investigation. The forest watchman stated that Eun-sung looked exactly like a boy who had lived in the neighborhood but was later adopted to the US. Byung-ja's mouth dropped open hearing this because Eun-sung was also adopted to the US. With all this information, Hyun-woo pieced it together with his own gathered information. He imagined it all together and was certain of the connection, but he didn't have any concrete evidence to prove it. However, Byung-ja managed to get hair samples from both Sol-hee and Eun-sung. Soon, they were preparing for a DNA test. Hyun-woo appeared, and they all waited anxiously for the results to come out. In the next scene, Da-hae is seen taking care of her husband for the last time before he goes to attend the chairman's birthday. As Soo Cheol is heading out of the room, Da-hae calls his name and thanks him suddenly. Later, at the birthday ceremony, while Soo Cheol is giving a speech, Grace sneakily enters the surveillance room and orders the engineer to shut down all the CCTV cameras. Meanwhile, Da-hae has packed all her belongings and a few valuables, vacating the house and departing for the US. Back with the investigator, the DNA results are out, revealing Sol-hee as the mother of Eun-sung. With this piece of evidence, Byung-ja calls her father to inform him, but he declines the call as he is playing a game of Jengi with his girlfriend Sol-hee. Hyun-woo then calls him instantly, and luckily, the chairman answers. Hyun-woo informs him to listen if Sol-hee is with him. He proceeds to say he conducted a DNA test on Sol-hee and Eun-sung, and the results show a 99% chance that they are related. He explains that Eun-sung is secretly plundering the chairman's shares, and also the director's shares. The chairman looks at Sol-hee, who is still acting innocent, while Hyun-woo advises him to withdraw the convertible rights he had given to Sol-hee. Eun-sung and his mother had tricked the chairman into handing over the convertible rights and power of attorney to Sol-hee by using the prosecutor's authority to threaten him, pretending to go to jail in his stead. After the call, the chairman stares at Sol-hee as he was about to talk to her, suddenly has a seizure. Earlier, Sol-hee had drugged him, causing him to be paralyzed with the aim of sending him into a coma so she could inherit all his properties. The chairman, shocked, falls to the ground. Right at the hospital, none of the family members were allowed to see the chairman since Sol-hee, as the chairman's legal guardian, was using her authority to keep them away. The mighty Queen Group began to crumble as Eun-sung used the convertible rights to stock shares into his company, becoming the highest shareholder. Additionally, Sol-hee sent all the family members out of the house with nothing. Left with no choice, Hyun-woo drove them back to his hometown, Yeongdeori, to hide, as the media were looking for them for investigation due to a trap set for them by Eun-sung. The couple, together with their family, reunited, resolved their strained relationships, and tackled the ordeal of reclaiming their property from the hijackers. When the family learned of Hayen's illness, she returned to Germany for treatment with her husband by her side. This time, Hayen's illness was cured, but the couple faced another challenge as Hayen lost all her memory. Eun-sung played another trick on Hyun-woo, sending him behind bars to replace him when Hayen woke from her deep sleep. Despite these challenges, the couple managed to overcome them, and Hayen regained her lost memory, allowing them to begin a happy life together. Thanks for watching. Please give this video a like, comment, and don't forget to subscribe. It may look simple, but it really does help the channel out. See you in the next video.